Good evening from London. Welcome to Piers Morgan Uncensored. It's impossible to read a newspaper, turn on the TV or browse any social media without running headfirst into a wall of virtue-signalling babble. It's engineered to make you feel like a terrible person at the hands of a condescending mob policing their own private rule book on integrity and ethics. And most of them are stinking hypocrites. Take the late, great Barry Humphries. The Melbourne International Comedy Festival in his native Australia has announced it will arrange a fitting tribute to a man they now call a comic genius. OK, so far so good. He was. But then you remember that a few years ago, the very same organisation publicly disowned him. Barry Humphries had had the temerity to say he was worried about the way gender ideology was now being pushed on young kids in schools. So the festival's director, Susan Provan, who this week hailed Barry Humphries as an incredible artist, led the original charge against him, snootily condemning his unhelpful opinions. After that, he was, of course, branded a fascist transphobe, as anyone that raises any questions about all this is immediately branded. And the festival stripped his name from the Barry Award they created in his honour. They cancelled him, and that decision hurt Barry Humphries personally, as his closest friends have attested. How couldn't it? This was his world, the comedy world, in his country. And they stripped it away from him. And now the very same people who did that to Barry Humphries want us to forget they ever did this. Forget that they chucked him under the wheels of their warped morality bus to score a few cheap points at their smug dinner parties and bag some validation on Twitter. Well, frankly, they can shove it. They can shove their endorsement of Barry Humphries now that he's dead. They never uncancelled him when he was alive, and they shouldn't be allowed to do it now. And then we come to this.
Glenique here, not your first marathon, I believe.
No, this will be 17, and I'm doing the 6 majors. So I've just done Tokyo and New York last year, and then this year, Chicago, Berlin. 2024 will be the number 6, and then that's a week before London, so a week rest, but girl power.
Yeah, that's actually the first marathon, though, that particular guest on the BBC had run as a woman. Of the 40,000 athletes running the London Marathon, the BBC decided to interview Glenique Frank, an apparently transgender woman who, unsurprisingly, placed ahead of 14,000 biological females in the race, because Glenique ran the New York Marathon in November last year as Glenn, a man. Now, all week we've been hectored about why this is progressive and wonderful. The rest of us who question this are wicked bigots and transphobes are suggesting there might be a fairness issue here with somebody who has run as a male through to their 50s, including only a few weeks ago in New York, and is now identifying as female and demolishing a lot of the field. Well, now the runner in question has apologised. Glenique has offered to hand back their medal and said they will run in the male category in future as Glenn, so no longer Glenique. And so the mob has, of course, dispersed. The facts don't fit their agenda anymore, and nothing better spells out, doesn't it, the intransigence of this culture than the transgender swimmer in America, Leah Thomas, who, far from being cowed by the perfectly justified criticism from fair-minded people who think it's just plainly wrong that a 6'4" biological male who was unsuccessful competing against men in swimming competitions is now demolishing biological females after identifying as a woman. Well, not only apparently are we all wrong for questioning that, says Leah Thomas, but we're also, all of us, male and female, bad feminists.
You can't really have that sort of half support where you're like, oh, I respect her as a woman here, but not here. They're using the guise of feminism to sort of push transphobic beliefs. And I think a lot of people in that camp sort of carry an implicit bias against trans people, but don't want to, I guess, fully manifest or speak that out. And so they try to just play it off as this sort of half support.
Wonder you could be thinking about, you sort of half in, half out. As my friend Martina Navratilova, a legendary gay feminist sportswoman, put it, stop explaining feminism to feminists. But of course, Leah Thomas won't care. Leah Thomas is winning races that she would not be winning if she was still competing as a man, making a ton of money, appearing on all the top media, all the magazine covers. There's a lot of money being made in this area right now. And they don't think they're right. They know they're right. We're the ones that are wrong. And if we dare raise a scintilla of an issue about any of this, we are transphobic. We're the bad guys and gals. And they attack like a swarm of locusts, don't they, on social media for a fleeting moment of self-righteous thrill because, as they're so fond of telling us, they are on the right side of history. Until it's with Barry Humphries, it turns out actually they're not. That actually they were on the wrong side of history after all. And they just want us to pretend we never knew.